Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com and thank you for joining me today. We are doing this color blocking card that I showed you how to do a couple weeks ago that was pretty feminine, but today we're going to take it more masculine, maybe a little bit fallish, and that is the card that we did a couple weeks ago, and I'll have links and everything like that to you either at my blog, and there'll be a link to that post, and below in the description. So we did that a couple weeks ago, like I said earlier, using the exact same stamp set of Gorgeously Made. And I'm using all Stampin' Up! Products today. So that is where I kind of tested out using my colors. And that is kind of Halloweenish. Like I said, I'm playing around. And over on the right there, that's kind of another deep fall pattern. Not pattern, but you know how I blended everything together. So today we're doing Pebbled Path, Wild Wheat, Boho Blue, Pumpkin Pie, and Poppy Parade. Now, the wild wheat, I have not figured out exactly what that color is at all. It can be used for anything. As I'm blending it, I'll show you. So we're using that for our image today over on the left, and then our sentiment is going to be from around the bend. So I cut down my cardstock to 4 and 5 1/4. And I'm taking this 1-inch masking tape that I have, and I'm going to lay that down all around the perimeter of that card. And I'm neurotic. You're going to see me cut it. And I bump it up there against the edge just to make sure my lines are going to be straight and get it down nice and secure because I don't want any gaps in the tape so my ink can sneak under. And then remember, I'm going to be putting water on top of it. So you definitely want that tape down. And I'm just going to go all the way around and do that. I put it down pretty tight, like when I'm done with the bone folder and whatever. So, like I said, I'm just going to keep going around the edges of that. And I try to keep it flat as possible to keep it straight when on my grid paper, when I start to use all that color. And hopefully I super sped that up enough so you're not bored. And there's a gap over there in the left that I have, but I eventually ended up covering that up with the masking tape. So that is what we are looking like. You want to protect your work surface because blending is messy. So these are our larger blending brushes. I took a swipe and I'm inking it off over on the side to give me an idea of what color I'm going to apply. And when I put the ink to my brush, I always use the darkest part of my pad. So that way I end up using all the ink in the pad. So that is where I'm coming in with that wild wheat, and it's like, whoa, this is mud. It is green. It is yellow. It's mustard. I'm not quite sure what to do with that. So I'm still winging it with that color all the way around. And so I'm bringing back in the Pebbled Path just to make it look pretty because now it looks like a really hot mess. And it really is, but it does work out in the end. So I'm bringing in Boho Blue now. And you want to do your ink blending in circular motions, come in from either edge inward, twist and turn your paper like you have to, just so you have a really good angle. And now I'm bringing in Pumpkin Pie. And when I do ink blending, I try to keep the colors no more than 5 no matter what, because simple things like yellow and green we know that make blue. We mix up yellow and red enough, we have orange, depending on how you put the hand down. So, and it gets you a nice rainbow that way. So I'm bringing in Poppy Parade right now, that red, and I'm knocking out my orange a little bit. When I bring it back in, you're going to see the orange boost itself up in a little bit yellow. And then I've got my green and my blue, whatever that wheat turned out to be. And so that is what we are looking like. So I'm squirting some water on my hand from a bottle, flicking it on there, laying down a paper towel, pulling off that excess water, and you want to make sure that panel is dry. And mine kind of is not, but it worked out. So when you pull the tape off, I'm pulling it out towards me because you don't want it ripping inward on you and messing up your work. So I'm taking, real concern to get that off the right way and taking my time with it. And now it doesn't look so bad after all. And I don't have any bleeding either because I made sure that I got that tape down right. So we are moving on. I'm grabbing that image right now out of Gorgeously Made. It's right here next to me. And I'm going to pull in my Stamparatus, and I have to take out the foam underneath it because that is a cling mount stamp set, and I've got the foam attached to the image as it is. And I don't know why this isn't moving faster because I hate talking for 8 minutes in a row. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to bring that in, and I'm going to place my image, and you're going to see me. It's like, what do I do with this magnet here? You know, once again, I'm making sure it's dry enough to go ahead and put that on. And I'm making sure that I'm just getting it down. Okay, but I think that turned out okay. It could be a nice fall palette too, along with masculine. You can go either way, and there's so many different ways to do this card. We can do it like I did a couple weeks ago, where you stack the die cuts. You could go light with just the black images here on top. You can do ombre with one color. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with this design, and it's great for clean and simple stampers or beginning stampers, and if you want to experiment with blending brushes. So I'm, like I said, neurotic, and I like my images really, really crisp on my cardstock. And a lot of people use this tool called the Chucky to get their images down real nice. You'll see me use, I call it a steamroller, but it's like a mini brayer. So I had to put my foam mat back in because it's time for the sentiment. We are using a photopolymer stamp, and I'm inking that up with black ink. And again, my preference is VersaFine. It's really, really black. Great impression every time. And yeah, I do go ahead and put down a second one on that. And it turns out okay, and I am good with it. And a lot of times I can walk away from a minute or two, let the dog out, let the dog in, and then come back without re-inking, and I get that great impression right there. You just have to let the ink soak into the paper sometimes, and it works out. So that is our entire panel right there. I'm not going to embellish it up or anything like that, add any twine. Like I said, I'm just keeping it simple. For something like this that you use water on, any kind of mixed media, and if you're going to put it on foam, you really want to kind of load up the back a little bit. Not to where it's going to be overloaded or too bumpy, but yeah, you want to make sure you keep it down and it's even, or place a block over it, let it sit overnight, and then you'll be okay there. So we are in the home stretch now. So I'm bringing in my A2 top folding Whisper White thick card base, and that is cut 4.5 by 5.25. No, I'm sorry, 5.5. That's our image panel, and I'm just going to try and get over on top of that and pop it on. But I didn't want to get my head in the video, and it went on crooked, but I did end up fixing it eventually. And that is it. And that is the card that we made a couple weeks ago. I will link to all that. They're very similar, but yet they're very different. And this is such a versatile design, like I said earlier. And I hope that you enjoy today's project. So thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will catch you the next time around.